Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Good evening, everybody. It is late night Saturday night where we belong. It's been a couple of weird different days so far this year, but we are here live at drroto.com with any given entry. Our DFS, what do we call it? Small slate, single entry strategy show. I'm Johnny Danger, of course, with me, Trustin Trevor, and our man Justin over at Just DFS. Justin, I hate to say it, but you've won my league 3 straight years. And after last week, you're back on top again. It's very frustrating. I've been with you now like 4 weeks in the show. Still haven't stolen all your plays. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm going to keep going at it. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, and it does feel pretty good to be up top. I've been running pretty steady and hot this year and look to keep it going, and I hopefully can give you some plays to help you get where you're trying to go, just not quite all the way there so you get first.
I dig it. Trevor, did you have a single game parlay last night where Ohtani throws 10 strikeouts and hits 3 home runs?
No, I did not. And I was pretty upset because I am a Brewers fan as well. And I think they when they beat the Cubs, they thought it was the World Series. So they're just outmatched by the Dodgers when the Dodgers are healthy, and it just stinks. Now I have to root for whoever wins the American League.
Right. I wish I could go back in time and see what that parlay would have paid out for a $10 bet. 10 strikeouts and 3 home runs. That would have been pretty awesome. But we're not here, my friends, to talk about baseball. We're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about single entry contests. We're going to talk about our contest, which is a 40-person DFS league. If you listeners want to get in next year, just holler at me. We'll get you in. We play a DraftKings lineup for all 18 weeks and combine your scores. We pay out weekly and then an end of year leaderboard. It's so much fun, except for Justin wins every year. That's not fun, but we'll figure it out one of these days. All right, let's get right into it, guys. Let's pull up my screen. Wait, I already did it. There it is. All right, this is Justin's famous cheat sheet. He's been so kind to share with us. He has his own Discord over at Just D 2.0. You can find it on Discord. You can jump in over there. It's free to join. We like to talk football. We also do it over at drroto.com. Of course, you can find us live on Discord. Pretty much me, Trevor, and the team answer your questions all week long, 24/7. And then Sunday mornings, it's gold with Dr. Roto from 10:30 to noon Eastern, where we answer all of your last-minute start-sit questions. But you got to be a member over at drroto.com. Promo code WIN. Get yourself 10% off. All right, I sounded like semi-professional there, guys. How was that?
Yeah, you did great.
All right, good. All right, we'll get into it. All right,
You're getting good.
What some might call, traditional cash games. I don't know that many people play cash games anymore. 50-50 fields are pretty much gone nowadays. I think some people play them. But what I like more is $27, $35, $50 single entry, a couple hundred people in a contest. And you're not playing against Trevor who builds 800 lineups a week with optimizers and his own gut plays. You can just put the work together and you can put in an entry, and as we like to say, any given entry. So let's take a look at this. You've got listed this week, we got Patrick Mahomes, we got Jaden Daniels, we got Dak Prescott, we got Caleb Williams. We've got good quarterbacks in good situations, and that's what we're looking for here. We're not looking for shots in the dark. We're not looking for bargain basement one-offs. We're looking for people who are going to put up points. What's your thought process here, Justin? And who barely didn't make this list? That's what I always want to know.
Yeah. Well, you should like the quarterbacks at least because 50% of them are in the afternoon games.
I like that.
And I know how much you like that. I will say one thing I noticed about the sheet this week and specifically the picks that I put up here. It's been bottom heavy in price range and avoided people even in the 6K range up until this week. Obviously, you see 3 65 and above and only 1 below 6K. So I thought that was different. But your question speaks to who's not up here. And I think Herbert also another afternoon game, which you would like. There may be only 4 games, I think, but some good ones in there. But Herbert just missed the list. Bo Nix is up there, but I'm not a huge fan. But I do like Herbert, who is not on this list. Just plenty of weapons. You don't know who that weapon is going to be that he's going to throw to, but I would consider him if you wanted to go off the rails a little bit from the sheet.
Yeah, I like Herbert a lot, but the problem with him is now Quentin Johnson's back. If you're trying to stack, is it Johnson who's played excellent while healthy? Is it Ladd McConkey's had a couple of good weeks? Is it Keenan Allen who shreds when they're playing against a team that can't stop the slot man? And their Gadsden, their tight end's been solid, and then Vidal went out of control last week. Trevor, I know that you really like Sutton this week, but is that a one-off player? Or are you playing some Bo Nix as well?
I'm going to say Bo Nix for more GPP plays, not so much for a small entry, single entry. I just think that Nix is more, there's more variance with him compared to the guys that are listed right here. The only guy that I could see putting on there, I do like Herbert, and I know you're worried about stacking him. I think Herbert's at a point where you just play him by himself because you don't know where the ball is going and just hope he scored everywhere, and then just hope you pick better receivers from other games. Drake May, he's averaging 22 points a game. That'd be the only other guy, but he's not. The thing about this slate is, I think Daniels, Prescott, Mahomes, they have that 30-point upside that you haven't really seen a lot. They have the chance to really put up huge numbers, where I don't think May can get that 30-point game against Tennessee. I think 23 to 25 points would be about his top. So I really like this list.
Yeah, I like this list a lot too. I think that I'm going to ask you a question again, Trevor. Jalen Hurts rates really high in my simulations, and he's going like half the ownership of everyone else, even less than that. I've got him at 3.87. Any love for Hurts at all against your Vikings?
Oh yeah, you definitely could see a big game from them because the Vikings defense, they're a little bit overrated. Like I told Doc earlier in the week, when you look at the Vikings, when you pop up Hurts on DraftKings, it'll say Vikings defense won versus the pass. Well, they faced Williams his first game back. They faced Gabriel. They faced Browning. They faced an Atlanta team that just ran them over, and they faced Pittsburgh who ran them over. And when Pittsburgh wanted to pass, they were able to. So they haven't really played any top-notch quarterbacks. And when they have had a team that they've lost to, they just ran them over. So Hurts does figure to do okay against the Vikings. But Vikings are coming off a bye. They are getting a little healthier. I don't know what to expect because Philly's been less than what we've expected. There is an outside chance that this game could blow up, but that's more for GPP stuff. I would prefer to be much more comfortable with the quarterbacks listed here.
Fair enough. Justin, Danny Dimes has been pretty darn consistent. You haven't shown him much love this year on your cheat sheet at all. You got something against Danny Dimes?
Well, so I like to say that my sheet that I produced the cheat sheet from has formulas, statistics, and it has no emotion and no opinion of mine per se in it. But it may be by design that he hasn't shown up. I know we've talked about him a few times. Couple of statements that I made, I believe, were, week 3 or so, I thought he was going to come back to earth, and he didn't. Week 4, I was like, okay, I guess he's just going to continue to keep doing his thing. And then he finally fell on his face one week, relatively speaking. And, Indy, good offense. I think Taylor is averaging almost 2 touchdowns a game, which is crazy. So, he's shining like a star outside of the New York environment, and good for him. But statistically, he's only not making the sheet because of the numbers, not because of my opinions, although they may be jaded.
So let's talk about Jaden Daniels. Okay, he pops as he was number 1 in the simulations until today. The refresh at about 7 p.m. today that I ran popped Mahomes over top of him. So my simulations have Mahomes, Daniels, Caleb Williams as 1, 2, 3. So nice to see them on your sheet. How worried are you that Debo's out, that Terry's out, that Ertz is hurt, and that Chris Moore and Luke McCaffrey are the top receiving targets for Jaden Daniels. That doesn't scare you?
My comment is I do think that it does hurt him in the air. I think it may lean into him getting equating that downside with his legs a little bit, just because there's less people to throw to that he has confidence in or rapport with outside of practice and whatnot. But, I actually probably like Luke McCaffrey more than most people as a player. Statistically, he's not the best option in their passing game, at least to me today. I don't think he does have no name people for the most part, but I don't think they're scrubs, and I think he's talented. So what he lacks, though, in the air, I think he will make up for it on the ground, and the best matchup for quarterbacks, obviously.
All right, Trevor, you scared at all, or is Jaden Daniels still a top pick for you?
Well, it does scare me a little bit. I mean, when you're losing two top receivers like that, well, he hasn't had McLaurin, pretty much all year. But, it does scare you a little bit. I do like Luke McCaffrey. I put him in the article today. I really like him. He always makes he hasn't gotten a lot of volume, but he's made big plays in just about every game. And if he does get a little more volume, he's going to be a big contributor. I'm gonna prefer on this list. I'm gonna prefer Mahomes and Prescott a little bit more than Daniels, in my opinion. I just think they had the least chance to fail. Where I could see Washington really laying on Bill to run the ball a lot. So.
Yeah, I like Caleb Williams a ton. I think he's severely underpriced for the situation that he's in. So, I think Mahomes has a better game. I think Dak probably has a better game. But Caleb Williams at 5,800 is so mispriced. When I saw this on Wednesday night, Trevor, with you and Doc, I said Caleb Williams is grossly mispriced for his matchup.
Yeah, he was in my stack. I'm just kind of paying attention to the weather, what kind of winds, but it looks like it's going to be okay. Williams and Odunze, and you look at the Saints last week, they give up a ton of big plays to the Patriots and Drake May, who aren't known for a long passing game, and they had a lot called back. I mean, Diggs had a 52-yarder call back on a really tight pass interference call, and I think Douglas had a long touchdown call back as well. So the Saints defense can be burned deep.
I agree. All right, let's move over to running backs. I have to make one note here that I don't know. It's hearsay, right? It's just projection. But I heard that the Packers called up a running back to the active roster off the practice team. And sometimes that alludes to late morning scratches for their stars. So you got to watch Josh Jacobs' situation. If that actually is the truth, he's in popping a lot of optimizers. He was in something like 28 of my 150 builds earlier today. I haven't taken him out of those, but he's definitely on the quick swap list should there be any more news in Green Bay. But I mean, smash spot for him if he plays. Jonathan Taylor, 2 touchdowns. I think you're right. I think I saw that earlier today, Justin. It's like 1.89 touchdowns a game or something ridiculous. Breece Hall, we talked about him on Wednesday a little bit, Trevor. We talked about how he pops up every single time. He always looks like a great play, but he just hasn't put it together yet. Is it a week for Breece Hall here, Trevor?
Well, I'm a little mixed on Breece Hall. I understand the volume point of it, but Carolina's run defense is a lot better than what people think it is. I mean, they've held all these running backs to less than projection. They held Bijan, Chan, Javante. They've held him below. Now, without Garrett Wilson, does Carolina just stack that box and really force you to try to pass? Because we know that Fields struggles as a passer right now, and the weapons are limited. So I just worry about that. But he is going to get a ton of volume. So just on volume numbers, that's where the projection must come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm seeing Bill the same kind of thing, right? We like him. We see the talent. He's only averaging like 11 points a game. Maybe this is the week that he breaks out. Obviously, it's going to be a high-scoring game if everything goes to script. I don't mind that. And Quinshon Judkins, I mean, we've been talking about him all week. He's in an absolute smash spot. He might be 40% owned at the end of the day or more in our contest. But he's a good pivot off the top end guys for $6,000. There's one guy on my list here that's not here, and he's currently only 4.5% owned in the GPPs, and that's Achane. I just think without without Hill there, they've really kind of started to lean on him. And I would probably have him on this list with this group. But who just missed the cut for you, Justin?
So Javonte Williams in Dallas just missed the cut. And Achane also just missed the cut. So, on Achane, I remember watching last week. I'm pretty sure it was 6 plays in a row where Tua snapped the ball, looked to the right, threw a screen in the flat to Achane. Literally like six plays in a row. And I was like, I mean, you key on him at some point. But yeah, I do think he's gonna, get a ton of volume. Second, probably the first man, as far as touches go. Waller's popping, and we'll see what unfolds there. But I mentioned Javonte Williams being just out, and believe it or not, Kamani Vidal is just outside of the list that I did not include.
Yeah, I like Vidal again. I'm worried a little bit of chasing points with him. I'm worried a little bit. You see a lot when these guys have these games that the next week, for some stupid reason, another running back will eat into their touches. I think coaches sometimes are too smart and try to think, if you think this guy's getting the ball, surprise, this guy's getting the ball, which is kind of funny. A lot of bad coaches do that over the years. Trevor's laughing because I know he knows that feeling well. But Trevor, a couple of weeks ago, we had the 2 big chalk running backs, and we said, screw it, play them. It was Hampton and somebody else, and I can't remember who it was. This time right now, it looks like I've got Williams at 24%, and I've got Judkins pushing 30% owned. But they're both in the 6,000s. Are these 2 guys you can just start your lineup with, regardless of the chalk, regardless of the ownership?
I think you can, but I really like Taylor, though. It's going to be hard for me not to be on Taylor. The Chargers' run defense has just been getting trucked over. So I can't imagine he doesn't have 100 yards and a touchdown. But I do like Javonte, but I'm really on Judkins. Judkins is my play of the week. He's my favorite play of all the players on any list. I mean, he's going to be in half my lineups, and that's going to be a lot of exposure. But I don't see no problem going with Javonte Williams, but I kind of like Bill more just because the game script. I think Washington's going to really, with their receivers out, they might really try to slow this game down, and Dallas gives up a ton of rushing yards as well. And if I'm coaching Washington, now I'm not a head coach, obviously, I'm running the ball. So I think Bill's going to get 20-plus touches in this game unless something really crazy happens where they fall down 14-0.
Yeah, I like Bill a lot. The only thing that worries me is what's going to happen in the backfield. Obviously, McNichols and Rodriguez Jr., I think, has not really had a ton of volume. But I wish I knew that Krosky Merritt was going to get all the love, because I do like the spot. Obviously he's 6,100, one of the cheaper running back plays that I'm going to consider at least. And if you find yourself needing salary, playing him will make you throw up. So I like all of these plays a lot. I don't know that I'll go off of these 5, and I'll figure the rest out depending on whether I spend up for Taylor and Jacobs or one of them, or spend down at both. I'll make the rest of the roster fit.
Yeah, I like Vidal at 5,500. I also have a little love for Swift in this game against New Orleans at 5,700. But I like your list. I think it's super solid. I would add Javonte into it.
It's going to be hard for me to get off most of these plays on this list, and including Javonte. I'm probably not going to have as much haul, but I can see where it's coming from. And Jacobs, with this news that they brought up Pierre Strong from the practice squad, so I don't know. But my main 3 running backs on this slate are Taylor, Bill, Judkins.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's move over to wide receiver. We have the return of CeeDee Lamb. We have the return of Rashee Rice. Both of those, let me rerun the numbers here in 2 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. Both of those guys are going to be the number 1 and number 2 owned play of the week. We got Rashee Rice looking like in small fields, 40%, maybe more than that in ours. I would not be surprised to see 65-70% in our 40-person league, going to Rashee Rice. CeeDee Lamb obviously is in a great spot. I've got him looking at about 33% in small fields. So these are the chalk. Hard to get away from Rashee Rice. How does he fail, Trevor? How does he fail? Does he fail because he's rusty and he doesn't have chemistry with Mahomes for the first week? But Mahomes has been playing MVP level.
I'm not worried about the chemistry part as far as Rashee Rice. The only thing that could make him fail is they just have so many weapons there. There's so many balls to go. There's only so many mouths to feed. But I think you're going to see a drop more in Juju and Hollywood Brown. I think there might be an emphasis because Mahomes knows Rice has been missing, and he might just try to pepper him that ball. And they can just play around if they want to. They're playing the Raiders. I expect them to win by double digits. So at this price, he could blow up the slate if they want to push the issue.
Now, Justin, we talk a lot about chalk, and we talk a lot about how it's important in GPP to watch your ownership, but not necessarily in small slates like this, or not small slates, small entries like this. At what point, if Rashee Rice, say I could read my crystal ball and said that our contest had him 75%, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that you're so confident in him that you don't want to lose to 75% of people that get his points?
Well, so specifically for the contest types that we're discussing here, you're okay going with that 75% because if it does well, you obviously are super glad that you choose to take the chalk and ride with it. And if it doesn't do that great, then you're not falling behind the 8-ball. But more importantly than what is the rest of the people are going, who are the rest of the people going to play, and what does that mean for me in positive or negative leverage? Is this person a good play? And their ownership be damned at a certain point when you're talking about the single entry, smaller type contest that we're talking about. And we mentioned a couple of times about all of these theories and why we're preaching this type of content in this show. And, it's about not overthinking it. And that's a common thing in life is you can overthink yourself into, stupor. And I think we've mentioned this before too. The term chalk has been thrown around as a negative term for a long time. And I think that was the case, but now the sharper the entire field is, the more chalky a play is probably for good reason versus people just, reading some headline and choosing to do so. There's actually more content and meat behind why that person is chalky.
Can't agree more. Do you think that, I think personally, do you agree that playing Mahomes, Rice, and Kelsey is a trap? Because I think Kelsey actually kind of takes a seat back with the full strength of wide receivers. I don't think they want him to be as involved in the regular season. They want him healthy for the run at the end of the year. I don't think they need him as much when they have their full complement of wide receivers. Is there any feeling like I have? Does that ring true with you, or am I out of my mind?
Well, I don't. Maybe I'm a hater, but I've never really been a huge fan of Kelsey, especially in years past where he's been competing with Kittle for a top tight end and spot in the league. And, he's done pretty well. He's had one above average game, a couple of mediocre games. I do think that he does take even more of a seat back now with Rice in. I haven't really thought about is it because they want to save him for the playoffs or, I just think that, he may not have what he used to. There's a lot more young guns and Mahomes looked pretty rough to start the year, but he sure turned it around and looking really great. So, I mean, and their run game hasn't been that great. So you got to throw the ball. I agree with you, though. I do think playing all three of them is probably not going to pay off more than half the time moving forward for sure.
Trevor, do you think it helps Worthy the most out of the other wide receivers to have Rice back?
Yeah, probably. It'll take less coverage off of him. And he's not going to be the one that comes out the field. Like I mentioned, Juju is going to be probably the guy, odd man out. I do like Thornton, the other rookie they have, and he's had some games, but he's just not going to see the field. And this is going to hurt those guys and Hollywood Brown too. It's going to hurt him. And it's going to hurt Kelsey some because Kelsey, I don't play him because I think he's just a little bit too overpriced for what his production has been. He's had, like you mentioned, a game or two that's been really good, but other than that, he's either been average or below average, and it's just not enough for me.
Sure. I love Cortland Sutton. Trevor loves Sutton. Doc loves Sutton. We're all on the Sutton train. I don't think we need to talk much more about that. Miami struggles. Sutton hopefully takes advantage of that. Chris Olave, again, makes the sheet pretty much every week because he gets 12 targets a week, and it's opportunity. I think we all know why Chris Moore or Luke McCaffrey, both of those guys are going to be wide receiver 1 and 2 for the week for Washington. I also think I like Chris Moore a little bit more for DFS simply because he's 3,000 rather than was it 41 or 4,200 for McCaffrey. McCaffrey to me is Isaac Tesla out of Detroit. He makes one good play a game, and he's going to get the opportunity though because he's going to be wide receiver, 2 on the team this week. So we'll see what happens there. Let's talk about the Chargers receivers. Trevor, I like that. I like that Justin just wrote Chargers receivers. Pick one. If you had to pick one, Trevor, pick one.
Well, boy, you put me on the spot for that. That's one of the hardest questions you're ever going to have. Picking a Charger receiver. The Colts corner is pretty good at covering the slot, so maybe not Ladd. Ladd's my favorite of the 3, but I think we have to go to Johnston because he's been the guy for the majority of the season with the Chargers. When he's in there, he's been the most productive. So I think I have to go back with him.
Yeah, I think I can agree. Justin, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you didn't do it on your sheet, but I want you to make a call right now. If you had to pick one.
I was so glad you asked Trevor that question and not me. I'm over here sweating. I mean, 2 of the 3 popped in my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top 6.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put both of them up there, obviously.
Sure.
So I just put Chargers as receivers. But I'll tell you, when I find myself in a debate like this, especially with 2 receivers who are on the same team, you got to use what data is out there. If you want to use your gut and the eye test and what you saw, go for it. But Allen has the best cornerback matchup. So if you made me plug in a Charger receiver into my lineup, it would be Keenan Allen. I think he's got touchdown upside. He don't have long play upside, but he has volume and touchdown upside, and obviously good rapport with Herbert as well as the other guys. But
yeah, and he's also the cheapest, which doesn't hurt. My simulation has Quentin Johnston as the number 5 projected scoring wide receiver of the week. So I'm having a hard time not going there, but I hear you on the cornerback matchup. I don't mind it at all.
I played Quentin Johnson. I played 1 Charger receiver this year, and it was Quentin Johnson. It was in week 5, and I'm pretty sure he got me single-digit points, so I don't want to go back there.
That's when he got hurt, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So no love for Justin Jefferson. Trevor, are you a Justin fan this week?
Well, I'm a Justin Jefferson fan every week, but the Eagles have pretty good corners and they could bracket coverage him. He's going to get a lot of targets, but he is the highest price receiver on the slate.
He is.
I have a little love for Addison, but he's more of a GPP play at 5,100. He's not meant for this type of slate.
So earlier in the week, Justin, we were on a show. Trevor and I were on a show with Doc, and he said his wide receiver of the week was Jalen Waddle. Now he's since walked back a little bit on that. Still likes him, not as locked in as he was earlier. I've got him as wide receiver 4 this week. Was he close on your list, or I know Trevor's shaking his head. No, I don't like Waddle, but
well, I'll tell you since I'm on this tab. He does, quote unquote, have the best wide receiver cornerback matchup on the week with Tyson Campbell covering him a majority of the time out of everybody, Waddle, that is. But as far as where he lands on his sheet, if I had to quick shove 5, 10, 15, round 20 on my list.
Not there on the sheet. I got you.
But you mentioned Justin Jefferson. Him and Romeo Dobbs are just outside of the
Dobbs, that's interesting. So one of the guys very high on my list, Roma Dunza, is on there. George Pickens I think is a little too high. I think I don't know. I think Dak's going to lock in on Lamb, but could be there. No love for Rome, is he close? Who just missed the list?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Dobbs and Jefferson just missed the list. Pittman just missed the list, and wouldn't you know it, the third Charger receiver just missed the list.
I'll get back to Waddle. If everything was, I mean, I knew his matchup was good this week. There's no doubt about it. I just like Sutton better just because of who they're playing. I have a premonition that Cleveland's going to put the boots to Miami tomorrow, especially now. I don't know if you've seen the weather. Now, this is the one you want to avoid the passing game. The weather, they're talking 60-mile-an-hour gusts, rain. I think Cleveland's front is going to dominate Miami up front. And I think Tua is going to be on his back a lot. And I don't think I just don't trust Waddle in this game over these other guys. But he does have a good matchup corner-wise. There's no doubt about that.
I think you touched on probably the most important thing about that game and players we have and have not mentioned is the weather there. It's going to be ugly weather. Obviously, we like Judkins on the other side. And I think you're exactly right. The reason that Waddle is lower for me is, a tough defense, bad weather. Vegas ain't loving the game. And Cleveland on the other side, ugly. It doesn't look great, let's be honest, but Judkins is going to grind it out, I think, and less possessions, less targets. It's just a recipe for a failure.
So I've got a guy top 10, and I know Trevor said something earlier about him, but Ted McMillan, way underowned as a guy who's top 10 projected for me, just based on simulators. I know he's got a tough matchup, but if so many people are avoiding him, and maybe not for this show, right? Maybe not for this style, but I kind of have some love for Ted. I mean, he's talented. He's being thrown the ball. And if Sauce has a bad game and nobody's on him, that's a lot of talent to be the sole person on him in a tournament.
I mean, obviously, I was on Ted pretty hard last week. Got some pushback here and there, and he scored twice. I think that was coming. I look at a lot of regression models, both positive and negative, and you never know what's going to happen, but I sure felt like it. Plus, it was a great matchup. So, none of that is working in his favor this week for me. I do like him, and being from North Carolina, I'm not a Carolina Panthers fan, but I do like to see them succeed and do well. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I got him at 4% owned, and he's not, popping for me, so I would have to avoid. But hope he does well, just not this week.
And the only cheap play that I really like in this kind of format, and this is a dot question, I'll get to him tomorrow, is if it's a Rashid Shaheed week, I do like him at 4,500. He pops up in the model, and he's very cheap. All right, let's keep going.
All right, go for it.
Let's keep going. Let's move over to tight end. Let me switch my around. Jake Ferguson has been a total lock. I mean, Zach Ertz, you got to watch him a little bit. He was dinged up. We'll check to see how he's doing in warmups. But there's nobody to throw to there. So Zach Ertz at 3,800 could be a lock button. I mean, Michael Mayer has proven that he should be a tight end one for somebody. Maybe he gets traded in the offseason. I don't know what his contract is up. But he always plays well when Bowers is out. Mason Taylor, maybe a bounce back week. I mean, in GPPs, I certainly like Justin Fields in a bounce back spot with how awful he was last week. But I don't have a whole lot of complaints here. I mean, Kelsey ranks number 1 in the model, but I don't really like it. Waller, I think, is so touchdown dependent. It's hard to pay 4,200 for him. If he was still in the 3,000s, I'd be more comfortable with that. I like the list here. I don't know that I have any notes at all.
Yeah, obviously Ferguson has been doing well. I typically don't like to pay up for tight end, but I found myself going higher than I like. Not this week necessarily, but this year. Obviously, Mayer, I wanted to get on him originally, but after looking further and more deeper into it, his matchup's not as good as so many others in that range and area. Ertz, I hope, does play. I do think he's pretty much a smash spot with everybody else being missing. And Mason, obviously, overseas game didn't go so well, but best matchup I have for tight ends on the week. And obviously no Garrett Wilson. So
Sure. Trevor,
Lot
can
to
I
like
ask you a
here.
question? If there is issues with Jacobs, does the pace of play in Green Bay move up? Does that make Kraft move up for you? Does that make Trey McBride a better play for you?
Yeah, if Jacobs is out, I think it'll be a little bit higher scoring game. Green Bay won't rely on the run as much, and they'll be throwing the ball more. I like McBride. Thing about McBride, I really, really like him, and Brissett's playing. I like him, but we're trying to get these running backs into the lineup, and we're trying to get these receivers, and it's to pay up for a tight end. And I love McBride. It's hard to do because you've got these other guys that are less priced with good matchups, and you're paying up for quarterback this week for the most part, and you're paying up if you want Jonathan Taylor. You're not going to have McBride in your lineup. It's just going to be too hard. So, but I do like McBride. I would like Fannin, but with the weather and the lack of weapons there, I think that Cleveland likes to funnel it through the middle, and I think Miami can defend it in this weather. I really like Taylor. I really like Ertz the most.
I was on Fannin all week long, but if you're telling me there's 60-mile-per-hour winds, I think he's going to be blocking for Judkins all day long. So.
Yeah, it's very nasty weather. One thing my brother said too, jokingly earlier, he was like, Fannin had multiple drops last week and the ball was dry and no wind. What do you think is going to happen this week? So
I dig it. No, I mean, I don't really have any notes here. Again, I said it earlier, I like Gadsden down in LA, but I like everyone there. I don't know. I might just stack that game 7 different ways, and just build around that game because it's starting to feel like the one that you got to have Taylor, and you got to figure out which one or two of these pass catchers, and maybe you just mix and match in 150 lineups. Taylor and 2 of the pass catchers from LA, and then just let it build around that.
I told you when we started
150 lineups right now, are we?
Yeah, this afternoon, the afternoon games are gonna make you do well. I can feel it.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. I don't really have any notes here, so what say we build a lineup, my friends?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, we've been really close. Every week we've done this. We've been just south of that pay line, just south. So let's fix it.
Yes, let's do. We're due to come through.
We're due. So let me pull up my entry that I saved. I saved the same one I did last week, the $27 single entry blindside with 1,079 entries, and we are going to be one of them, my friends.
I like it.
All right. Well, I think we're all in agreement that Jonathan Taylor's got to be in the lineup, right? So I don't even know if we have to go to anybody. He's got to be there.
I'm on board with it. A staple of the roster.
Yeah, and I don't know that any of us wouldn't go Judkins next unless anybody wants to make an argument against it.
I can't argue against it.
I mean, it sounds like we were pretty in agreement there. So all right. So now let's split hairs. There's 3 wide receivers. We each get one. Justin, fire away.
What would you say? 40% owned or 75% in our 40-man? Put Rice in at wide receiver.
Yep. I mean, in this contest, he'll probably end up being 30, 35. Might be more than that, but not much. It should be around.
I showed like 36% and something like this.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Trevor, what you got for a wide receiver for me?
You know who I'm going with. You know it's going to be Cortland Sutton. We talked about this earlier today. Danger texted me and Doc saying he liked Waddle, and I said Sutton all day, especially this Sunday over Waddle.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at the weather when I was talking to you guys about that, and I'm glad that you brought that up. It would have got brought up tomorrow during the show, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I don't know. I like that a lot. I think we're going to keep saving money, and I think that I'm going to finish this with a nice safe play in Chris Olave again. I think I've picked him 2 out of the 3 weeks, but he gets 12 targets, and I don't mind him, and that gives us 3 $5,000 wide receivers and lots of room to move around should we need to in other places. All right. All right. What do we think about tight end? Do we want to lock Mr. Ertz in? Do we think that he's a lock and watch for his health rating? We don't need to save that much money, but we could.
I mean, I would probably lean Ertz or Taylor at tight end. I don't know that I would go up in the 4 or 5Ks.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I mean, I think it's Ertz for me. I think the only thing that might change that is if for some reason Josh Jacobs does miss, I might want to try to get Tucker Kraft up in there.
Yeah. And
To me,
obviously, just a disclaimer, everyone should certainly pay attention and make sure that you don't plug and play and forget in case Ertz does have some kind of setback before lock.
To me, the difference is what do we need for that quarterback before we go to the tight end. I mean, where are we at with quarterback before we? Because it's when we use these tight ends and we flex and we don't know where we're at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, that's true. That's true. I mean, we can play pretty much everyone here. We can pay down for defense. We can pay decently low for tight end and still have a decent amount of flex. So even at Mahomes, it's all right. But we can go down to, Caleb Williams. We can look at Herbert at 64. We can go off your list here and pick up Dak.
Yeah. Trevor, you got anyone in mind?
For quarterback?
Yes.
For me, I prefer Dak over just about all of them on the list. I don't know about what your projections is. Daniels just worries me a little bit out of this list. I do love Mahomes, but he's 500 more.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lamb being back, I kind of like Prescott.
And I like Prescott a lot too because I don't know that you have to pair him up. When he gets Lamb back, he's got Pickens throwing up 100-yard games. He's got Ferguson catching 7 balls a game. I think you can take Dak and forget about those guys and just hope he throws one to each one of them.
Yeah, I like Dak. I think we should plug him in here.
Okay. As long as we're in agreement.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. We haven't talked about defense, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about defense, see if we can save some money on defense. Because right now we're looking at 3,933 a piece for the last 3. That's a little rough for flex unless we double tight end it. So is there any of the bargain defenses that you can get behind? Trevor, what do you think of defenses this week?
Well, initially, I like the Browns, but they're 3,000. But what about the Panthers playing the Jets without Garrett Wilson? They've been playing the run pretty well. I don't know how much they sack the quarterback to and if they'll get to Fields, though. So that does worry me about their price. I can't see, anybody lower than that I can't see, like the cart. No. So the Panthers would be my lowest point at 2,500. But I do like, Miami's worth looking at because of the stop. But we are playing Judkins, so it's kind of like we're rooting against ourselves there. I do like Cleveland a lot. So
yeah, Cleveland is definitely my favorite defense, but the Panthers are shortly behind them as a money saver. I say I like Trevor's first instinct. Let's go and 2,500 with the Panthers. And if we can come back and get up to Cleveland, we'll do so.
All right. Okay. That sounds good. Well, we got 4,650 left. If we just start with Ertz just to see where we're at, let's just do that. That gives us 55 in the flex. So that will teach us whether we got to go up or down. That gives us right there at 55. We got Vidal. We got Keenan Allen, 2 guys in the game that we like. We can double tight end with Ferguson at 55. There's some good options here, guys.
Okay. And if we went with Mason, just hypothetical, then who would that leave us with?
All right. Slide down to Mason Taylor. That gets us 900, and that gets us to Quentin Johnson. That gets us to A.J. Brown. That gets us to double tight end McBride. Dobbins, who, by the way, is a running back that I did like this week that I did not mention.
I like Johnson in this range, obviously. Keenan Allen, I guess. And then there's a pretty decent gap down there for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like McBride there. I like Dobbins. I like Vidal. I like Quentin Johnson. I mean, we could go double tight end, Ertz and Ferguson. There's lots of different things we could do.
I'm going to take out Taylor and go back to Ertz and just look at those options one more time. Because I think if we go Taylor, it's Quentin Johnson's the play. And if we go Ertz, just checking that one last time. I mean, if it was me only choosing then I'd be looking at Keenan Allen in that range.
I like Keenan Allen too, and that gives us, 2 plays out of that game that I like a lot. That Indy LA game, I think, is going to be a banger.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess you're Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnston on brand with Chargers wide receiver being on the cheat sheet.
I like it.
I think what you do is you pick the tight end and then just take the Chargers receiver that's left over, whether it's Johnson or Allen. So
I feel more comfortable with Ertz, and I think that if there's any worry about his health going in, we can drop down to Taylor and we can take Allen up to Johnston. That's what I think.
Makes perfect sense. So we'll end it with Ertz at tight end and Keenan Allen at the flex.
That sounds good to me, Trevor.
Who are we going to pivot to if at, let's say, the first game's lock, and we find out, let's say, at 2:30 that Ertz is out? I think he's pending. I think they're saying they plan on playing him.
So I think the thought process is that those both are afternoon games. So before 4:05, we can drop Ertz down to Mason. Oh no, you're right, because that's not a late game.
No, that's a noon game. So
yeah. I mean, you got Gadsden there. Should that have to happen? But I think we'll know before that lock. Personally.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would feel comfortable doing it, just paying attention up to 1 and or whatever time your early games start, and you'll know by then if he's playing. I would feel.
Yeah, and Gadsden does pop in my models all right. So I mean, it's not a zero having to go down to Gadsden and being able to move up off Allen up higher, because you probably don't want Allen and Gadsden in the same line.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, Trevor, that's a great point with the Jets game locking sooner. So just as 6K, yeah, of course, it's another Charger receiver is the only one that brings into play in Kamar, but no thanks.
All right. Well, I'm satisfied with the lineup with Ertz personally.
I don't think they got much other choice than to make Ertz go out there, even if he's got to wear crutches.
Even if he just goes out there for red zone plays, it's still money to be had.
So if you look at our team, we're going to be pretty contrarian too, because we're going to be pretty light on that Cowboys Washington game. Like, I do like it because I like all these players.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me type it in here. We got Dak at QB. I'm going to type it in the comments for everybody. Show lineup. We got Dak. We got Taylor. We got Judkins, Rice, Sutton, Olave, Ertz, Allen, Panthers.
Love it. Locking it in on my end as well.
Locking it in. Let's have this one make us some money this week, gentlemen.
Yep, I hope so. Look forward to it.
All right. Well, I said we wanted to do these shows in 45 minutes. We did this one in 48. We did pretty good. We're getting better. We got under the hour mark this time.
Your production and producing skills are on point. So
they're getting better. They're getting better as we go. I absolutely appreciate it. All right, Justin, tell them where they can find you.
Yep. So I did get my Twitter back going. It's just DFS. There, obviously, the Discord that I have. If you're looking for me, you can find me in the Dr. Roto Discord. You can communicate, and I can give you links. There's already been links, but you can find me in both my personal Discord and the Dr. Roto Discord. We can connect in either place.
Absolutely. We got Trust and Trevor. You can find them basically every single day on some kind of podcast on Dr. Roto's YouTube. You can find all of his articles over at drroto.com. Obviously, you can find me doing the same thing over there. Don't forget, 10% off by going to drroto.com, putting in the promo code WIN. Come check us out. We've got a great Discord. It's constantly active. We have the best morning last minute start shit. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, we sometimes we do start shit, don't we, Trevor? But the start sit show with Dr. Roto, where he'll answer every single one of your questions from 10:30 to noon Eastern. We're there for you every single week, all the way through the year. I appreciate you two joining me. Justin, I hope you finish 40th place this week. And for everybody at drroto.com, we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.